We talked to Denny, he, him is a theist and a Gnostic Christian and just wants to talk about science and God and all that good stuff. Well, Denny, you're in the right place, man, because you were on the Atheist Experience. What you got for us?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you been?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Yes.
I wanted to start off by asking, do you see God as a human invention?
I think that's probably one of the best descriptions. I think deities in general were things that, were created by various human cultures. I think
it depends on how you define God.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. But
Of course, yeah, it does. It matters. So you say yes to this question, yeah?
again, I think our answer was a little bit more nuanced than that. But, for the sake of it, let's just say yes. Let's see where this script goes.
So, yeah, the script. So many people, philosophers, mathematicians in the past, they saw God not as a being in the sky. They saw it as the foundation of existence,
Yeah.
the energy that sustains all living things behind the material.
Yeah.
That's science calls it dark matter, 95% invisible.
So what that sounds
That
like
sounds
to
like
me?
equivocation.
Yeah, that sounds like. Do you know what equivocation is? Do you know what Thomas was just bringing up there?
I'm not quite sure, no.
No, that's okay. Thomas, what is it?
So equivocation is where you will you'll present one argument, right, that has one meaning of one word, and you'll lay out the case for this argument. And then when you jump to the conclusion based off of a different definition of that specific word. So when you present a case like this where you say, well, your definition of God is this man-made construct, but actually the definition of God is something that's more the energy of the universe or something like that. And scientists have found energy in the universe, therefore they've proved God. Well, you've just basically redefined God as the energy of the universe, and because that exists, then that exists. You haven't really gotten anywhere. All you've shown is that, scientists believe that there's energy in the universe.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Do you get what we're saying, Denny?
Yeah. Sorry?
Do you understand what we're saying here, Denny? Do you get what Thomas was explaining
I do,
there?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Is there more that you wanted to get into?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't redefine God. That's what I see in the science books in the 1500s, 1600s, Isaac Newton.
No, what we're saying is
the governing.
No. Denny, hang on.
Yeah.
We're not saying that you redefined God, right? Thomas and I are both fairly familiar with that type of construction for the definition of a deity. We both know that that's what people say, right? Like, for instance, you might have heard this, Denny. I don't know. It says you're a Gnostic Christian, so maybe if you've heard this, that Jesus Christ isn't a man. Jesus Christ is a relationship. Christianity isn't a religion. It's how you live your life, man. Like, that's all fine and well and good. What that is flowery, metaphoric, poetic language. And it's really pretty, but it doesn't have any actual connection and bearing to the real world. And so what we're saying is that you went out there and you found this one esoteric definition of God that a lot of people like to use. And the way that that definition is constructed is one with a bunch of different terms that have like 6, 7, maybe 8 different meanings. And then you found this other piece of information over here that uses one of those words with one of those meanings, and you went, ha-ha! There it is. Got it. Proof. And that's what we're trying to say, is that when scientists are talking about energy, when they talk about the energy radiating outward from the Big Bang, or kinetic energy, potential energy, all that cool shit, what they're talking about is something that is very different than what the people that are talking about God energy are talking about. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Again, I just explain one definition because I cannot explain everything I know, but you have to understand that God is the principle within man. So your conscious perception of reality shapes the external reality and internal.
I don't
so
feel
your
like you
emotions
really
and feelings shape the
internalized
reality.
what we said, Denny. I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to move on because, every second that passes today, I get closer to free pizza. So I'm thrilled no matter what the fuck happens with this call. But I'll just tell you, based on that response, Denny, honestly, I believe you did not hear a single word either of us said, which is okay. Like, whatever. We do this regularly. Call us back. But what are your thoughts, Thomas?
Yeah, it very much is equivocation, because it's basically saying, like, God is energy, or God is this interconnected something or other. And we have something similar to that defined by physicists. And it's like, usually when physicists are talking about energy, they're talking about something very measurable and very tangible. Is this something, is it gravitational energy? Is it potential energy? Is it kinetic energy? Can we measure it in heat? Can we measure this in watts? Can we, like, what kind of energy is this that we're talking about here? And if you just have this hypothetical energy in the universe, it's like, well, is it bottled up and stored somewhere? Does it have consciousness? That's a very, very different thing. And if someone's saying, like, oh yes, there's energy that connects all of us together, okay, yes, I guess. I mean, like, right now, there's particles in this room that are moving about with kinetic energy.
Technically.
And my breath has particles that are moving faster, so I have hot breath. And so I'm like, and my particles have bounced off of my breath particles, have bounced off of secular rarity and warmed him up. And so we're all connected in this way.
Gross.
But it's like, that's not what people mean when I hear them talk about how we're interconnected. It's some sort of like psychic connection. We have some sort of, I can read minds, I can see into the future, or maybe God can read my mind, or God knows where I am at all times, and he's somehow able to interact with and change the laws of physics without somehow changing the laws of physics. And it's just, these definitions start being really wiggly wobbly, and you'll see people make an argument for God. And it's like, they'll be like, oh yeah, God exists because of this. And then they start to then say, and so therefore the Bible, and therefore that. And when you attack that and you say, no, hold up, you didn't make a case for, God being conscious. You didn't, there's no proof that this, then they'll be like, oh no, I was just arguing that this energy thing that everyone agrees upon exists. And it's called a Mott and Bailey argument. You set up basically like you have the Mott and the Bailey, and like one of them, it's kind of like with castle terminology, right? So one of them is this far-fetched, insane claim, and you kind of like make the case for that, and everyone draws the conclusion that that's where the evidence leads. But then if their argument sounds absurd and someone pushes back, they can drop back to the Bailey and just be like, oh no, I never actually said that. I was really just arguing for this really simple thing that's not really that controversial. And so that's what I hear. That's the vibes that I'm getting from this kind of argument.
Which is another good term there, vibes. That gets thrown around all the time. But what do you think, Denny? I know we've shouted a bunch at you, so what do you think? I might have...
But like you said, you just gave very good examples, but science explains the origins of God because 95% is dark matter. It's unknown to science. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So we don't deny that existence. It is considered God just because it's divine origins. We have to accept and appreciate how beautiful it is.
Did you just say that dark matter is... Hang on. Did you just say that dark matter is God? Is that what you just said?
No, I'm saying the 95% of the invisible universe problem is considered God because it's non-measurable by any mathematical or physical observation.
So just real quick, Denny, I would love if we could have this moment together, okay? When you tell me 95% of the universe is this particular undetectable material, do you see why I feel like that statement is weird? I just want to know, do you, let me try it again. When you tell me that we have detected that 95% of the universe is undetectable, do you see why I push back a little bit, Denny? Do you see why I'm a little exasperated with that thought? Does it make sense?
Yes.
Why? Tell me for my own clarity, for my peace of mind and sleeping well tonight. Why is that a weird statement, Denny?
Because we don't know, therefore God. So that's your argument.
Thank you. Hang on, I've got you on mute just super abruptly and rudely because what you just said is completely wrong. So it sounds to me like you're not following, which is great because I have a chance to explain. Hey, Thomas, if I tell you that I've detected that 95% of the free thought library is undetectable, does that statement strike you a little weird?
It does.
Why?
And I want to push back, but I also want to defend Denny here.
Okay.
Right? I want to be charitable.
Please, let's be charitable.
What you're saying is we have detected it even though it's not detectable, which is it's a contradiction of terms.
Right.
If you can't detect it, then you can't detect it.
How would we know that 95% of the universe is undetectable?
What I would push back, and where I think Denny might have just been a little bit sloppy with the wording, is that there are things in the universe. Sure. There are ways of detecting things, for example, like the gravitational pull and the density of galaxies and things like that lead scientists to be like, there's something else.
Okay.
There's some other force.
Yeah.
That is at work here.
Okay.
Right? There's something else that's going
Fair
on here.
enough.
And that's because the models are not
perfect
to account for this. And so it's, in a way, he's right. We haven't straight up measured or detected dark matter or dark energy. That doesn't mean that there isn't reason to think that it's there.
Sure.
So
maybe just a little bit more.
So I would give him a little bit of grace there,
I appreciate that. That's good. That's good. I appreciate that. And so we're all helping each other today, Denny. So it's not that we haven't really detected it, right? Again, this is that equivocation thing. There's multiple meanings for this word detection, right? There's multiple meanings for whether or not something is undetectable. So again, we had this with the last caller, too. A little bit of humility in these spaces, I think, is really warranted. You're coming in here saying the foundation of dark matter, which is energy that sustains all things, is called God. Like, a little bit of humility, my brother, would be wonderful in this moment. Thomas and I are not saying that dark energy definitively cannot, 100% cannot be God. That's not what we're saying. But we are saying that, hey, man, there's a lot of this already on the face of it. That's a little odd. Again, just like when somebody comes up to me and says, man, 95%, we've detected 95% of the universe is undetectable. I perk up a little bit and I go, that's weird, man.
The other thing to point out is the reasons that we say we have reason to believe in this stuff is because there's certain interactions that, so, maybe it's the rate of gravity or the rate of expansion or things like that we have measured and we have determined based off of those measurements what the speed should be and stuff. So it's like our only, quote, detection of, and again, I'm not an astrophysicist, so I want to couch that up front, but our way of knowing about this stuff, it's like that's what we see in the universe is the fact that, maybe it's expanding too quickly or something like that. It's not that we're detecting that this dark energy is then suddenly like somehow spontaneously like just generating a planet here and curing grandma's cancer over there and doing this over here. Like those are the types of things that like we could measure. So if there was an interactive God of some sort, then yeah, but I don't want to put words in
I know.
I feel like we've been a little uncharitable to him.
Well, no, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Look, sometimes we get things wrong. We hear things wrong. So I'm always happy to correct, And anytime, if we're ever saying something that isn't right, Denny, you just let us know. Say, hey, that's not what I said. But I know we shouted a good bit at you. So give us some thoughts, man. What do you think here?
Yeah, so you said some quite good things, and I agree some of them. But again, just because there's dark matter, you say doesn't mean there's God, doesn't mean there's intelligence. Just because you detected something, you don't even say, yeah, we didn't even detect it, so how could we know it's 95%? I get what you're saying. So science agrees that there's invisible layer of reality which shapes the mathematical laws, a Fibonacci sequence and Golda ratio, which operate under an invisible wall. Which many scientists agree, actually. It proves that most of reality is beyond our perception, which supports the mystics which taught for centuries. It's not only the material world, it's just a fraction of existence.
You're losing me.
Yeah,
you're losing me.
I wanted to give him a second. Yeah.
The golden wall hiding, or the golden ratio hidden behind a wall of something.
Yeah, and the invisible stuff, the invisible like layer of reality that influences the physical and stuff. It almost sounds to me a bit, okay, Denny, it almost sounds a bit to me in what's called like a presuppositional apologetics kind of line of argumentation. And this was actually something, my buddy Gary knows this more than I do, but this guy Bonson, he made this really popular. Somebody else, Cornelius something, made it, Cornelius Till or something, I don't know. Anywho, it kind of has this flavor of like, hey man, like, you can't even have logic or reasoning or matter at all unless you have God, the ultimate axiomatical instantiation of substantive existence or something. It's just really, it's a bunch of big words, and it's a lot of terminologies that don't exactly connect up, but people say them very confidently and then move on and expect the other person to have to answer those questions. And I don't like that argumentation. And the reason I don't like that argumentation is because, in part, well, we can just do anything like that. And if we have two competing hypotheses, and honestly, they're both as likely, we do not have an answer. We are still in the same boat of confusion and question mark, man. And so this line of argumentation, unfortunately, can be used for everything. I mean, for everything, not just religion, but for fucking unicorns. I mean, for Bigfoot, like all of this stuff. I highly doubt you believe that there are actually magical tree nymphs living in the forests in North America. And yet, through this line of argumentation, we could get to this place where we would have to agree, yeah, okay, these magical tree nymphs exist. So I would love if, I always give people homework, okay? And I'm terrible about this. And you don't have to. You can tell me to go fuck myself. It's pretty easy. But I would love if you, after this call, spent some time reading through some of that presuppositional apologetic script and listening to some of the people that have some really good, responses to it. I have heard that there is a channel on YouTube. It's this interesting little place on the web. A bunch of people get on there and make videos and stuff. I've heard there's this guy, Holy Koolaid or something. I don't know if you've heard, but I've heard he has some stuff on it, so it might be helpful there. But yeah, you ever heard of presuppositional apologetics? Am I totally off base here, or is this you flipping to page 13?
I'm definitely going to research.
Yeah, great, man. That's awesome. I love that. We do have a couple of other calls, but Thomas, was there anything else you wanted to say to Denny before we get going?
I think I'm good on this one.
Sweet. Well, Denny, we are going to just abruptly drop you, but thank you so much for calling in. And I really do. I know that there were a couple of times I might have come at you a little hard, and I apologize. That's why Thomas is here to rein me back in. But give us a call back. We're here every Sunday, man. Same time, same place. Please keep looking into this, because if we're wrong, we want to know that. If we've just totally missed this super duper obvious thing, guys, it's right there in front of you. Dark energy. It's been there. If it's that fucking simple, man, I mean, show it to us, please, because we're gonna change our minds, and we're gonna get to a place where we say, hey, you know what, Denny, you are right. But I hope, and this is always our challenge, I hope that if we can show you that by your criteria, this argument does not do the thing you say it does, that you'll change your mind too and say, you know what, guys, you're right. So keep hanging out with us, Denny. I think the call was really good, and I think you are in a good place.